Guys, today I have this radio here from around the early 60s, and we're going to be ripping out the original radio, not throwing it away, but just replacing it with Bluetooth for now until I rewire the original radio in here. It's not tube-based like the other radio on my channel. However, this is not Bakelite. This is actual wood, I'm pretty sure, and if I'm wrong about this one, you'll see subtitles right now. But I believe this one's real wood. I've opened it up before, and I put a Bluetooth module in it, and all I did was cut the wires to the radio. All I have to do is resolder some new wires, and it'll work just like a normal radio again. But I am going to take the radio out of here, potentially, depending on how much space it takes up, because it has the original two drivers in here, and it's stereo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a larger almost bass speaker in one side, and we're going to be putting a smaller, not so bassy speaker in the other side, just to widen the sound range. And we're going to be keeping the original speakers, of course, as well as the original radio, just because it's a part of history. And this thing's from the 50s or 60s, so it's nearly 50 years old at this point. That's why I'm going to be breathing some new life into it. I'm pretty sure no one collects radios of this vintage specifically. I know people collect tube radios, and rightfully so. I'm not going to rip any of the tubes out of that, nor will I Bluetoothify it. But this one I already put a Bluetooth module in it with a power brick and everything. Now on the back, I did add an RCA jack, but we are going to be at least desoldering it from the main speakers because it's going to be all in one. Depending on how this radio works, we may or may not rip it out because I do want the knobs at least on here, so we might have to glue these on, which I'm not a big fan of fake like knobs and crap. We also might have to remove this tuner part here. I'm not sure about this because the tuner is part of the radio, of course, so unless there's some sort of mechanism to disconnect it, we might have to leave the radio in. Unless it's like two boards, then we might be able to take just one board out and reattach it later on. But anyways, enough talking, let's get into the radio. So inside the radio is not as clean as the outside. As you can see, we have the original board here with the original radio and stuff, and then I've just glued a Bluetooth board in here. And you can see I snipped the wires on here. I actually rewired this and then snipped the wires because the original wire wasn't working. You can see I can just reattach a wire here. I can just reattach the speakers, this right here, and we're good to go on an original radio. But a restoration is a video for another day, so for now we're just going to be removing the radio module entirely, setting it aside on a shelf. So a quick rundown, basically we're going to be adding two different size drivers for a wider sound range. It also is sort of important to note that the original radio is only mono audio. So we did end up removing the radio as there's no way the drivers would fit in with the radio inside. Another good thing about removing the radio is we only have to glue 2 out of the 4 knobs on, as I suspected if we moved the entire radio we'd have to glue all 4 on, but I guess we can just glue 2 of them on, which makes it a lot easier. And on the front here, right where this part was, there did look to be a little bit of water damage, so we are going to wipe it down as it all is acrylic plastic and materials like metal. And then it should look cleaner and better than ever, and we'll add the new speakers. Alright guys, real quick, while cleaning this piece of plexiglass, it turns out this is not water damage in here. This is actually some sort of glue, and I'm not going to be able to get this off without accidentally removing these labels here, and I might even warp the plexiglass. So for now we are going to leave it, but eventually I do plan to get that off. With the speakers in the housing, we're almost done. All we have to do is attach it to the circuit board over on the side, which has the Bluetooth module built in. And then obviously the last step, we have to put the back on the radio, and then we're ready to go. With the back on and the knobs all in place, the radio is finally finished. After testing it, it sounds better than ever with a wider sound range than even I expected. And another thing that helps this radio sound good is an app I downloaded on my phone when I connect it to Bluetooth. And this app is basically just a simple digital equalizer. And just for evidence, the original radio is right here still. And I could probably even run it outside of this housing, although I do not plan to, as that's not exactly the brightest idea. Anyways, that is going to have to call it for today's video. And if you guys would like to hear me use this thing, I will. I'll probably make it into a YouTube short. And coming up next, we might have a video on this app I found on the App Store, which is an equalizer for your speakers. And I must say, it's a very useful app. But anyways, make sure, if you watch this far, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.